The reason I'm talking about this is because I watched a documentary about this. Basically, there was a, Southern Ireland, nice, lovely rural area. By the way, rural Ireland, beautiful, stunning place, right? And there's a bunch of people that live in this area. And there was a journalist who was living in one of the houses there and in one of the nearby houses. So it's like countryside. So there's little houses dotted here and there. Was this guy called Ian Bailey, who was an absolute nutter, right? And what happened was the journalist was murdered because someone obviously chased her up a path and smashed her over the head with a rock or a brick or something like that. I don't think the murder weapon was ever found. Basically, some blunt force object was used to kill her, right? And this guy was the prime suspect because he was acting weird. He lived nearby. He apparently spoke to the woman. And then one night he broke down in the pub crying, saying, I killed her. I did it. But the police didn't look into him because the guy's an absolute bullshit merchant and he's weird. Like, they interviewed him in the documentary, and the guy's just weird. He's like one of those compulsive liar types that just talks a lot of shit. A roaster, as we call them in Scotland. I love that word, and I want to popularise it everywhere. A roaster is someone who talks that much shit and is just like that annoying with just the bullshit they hit out with that it roasts your brain or fries your brain. So we call people like that roasters. This guy's a big roaster. That is essentially what he is. But the guy has actually died. So, by the way, the Netflix documentary is quite good. You should probably watch it. But a British journalist suspected of Sophie Toscan Duplantiers' murder dies in West Cork. Despite being sentenced in his absence in a French court, he was found guilty in France, but Ireland doesn't have like an extradition agreement with France. In fact, I think France is meant to be really funny with their extradition agreements all over the world. I think. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. And he was never charged by the Irish police because apparently there wasn't enough evidence to link him to it. That's him young when the crime first happened. He looked a lot older than that in the documentary. Ian Bailey, the British journalist sentenced in absence for the murder of a French film producer in Ireland, has died of a suspected heart attack, aged 66, according to his solicitor. Bailey was given a 25-year sentence in 2019 after a court in Paris found him guilty of killing Sophie Toscan Duplantier in West Cork in 1996. The 39-year-old, who was married to celebrated French filmmaker Daniel Toscan Duplantier, who worked with the likes of Federico Fellini and Ingmar Bergman, Buongiorno, Antonio Margheriti, was found bludgeoned to death outside her holiday home near the coastal village of Shule and on 23rd December. Bailey, who lived a few miles away and was the first reporter on the scene, covered her death as a journalist before being first questioned over her death in February of 1997. He became the key suspect because of scratches on his arms, which he said he got while cutting down a Christmas tree, an alleged history of domestic violence, and a local resident's report of seeing a man resembling his description on a bridge near the murder scene. But no forensic evidence ever linked him to the crime, and he was never charged with the murder by Irish police. But loads of people in the town were very, very divided on it, but it got to the point where in the village he was kind of universally hated. Like, nobody liked him, even before like the murder happened. And after the murder happened, everyone, it was the talk of the town. Everyone in the village was like, it's him, and everyone's like, no, it's not. He's just a weirdo and a liar. And it was just a whole complicated thing. The documentary goes over it quite a lot. In 2020, the Irish courts blocked his extradition to France, where the law allows suspects to be tried for murdering French citizens abroad for the third time. When Bailey was convicted, he had no legal representation for the case, did not attend court, and described the whole situation as farcical. He always maintained his innocence, continuing to live in West Cork, and died in the coastal town of Bantry, where Irish media said he was living. His solicitor, Frank Buttimer, who has known Bailey since March 1997, said he was very upset to hear of his death. I knew Ian was very unwell. We were in communication in the past 5 days, but I didn't know he was terminally unwell, he said. He had a very severe heart condition, a very bad heart condition, and had cardiac events prior to Christmas. He was a candidate for surgical intervention but wasn't well enough, so he was trying to become well enough. Bailey, who was born in Manchester, worked as a journalist in England before moving to West Cork in the mid-1990s, where he also turned his hand to poetry, gardening, and running a pizza stall with his former partner. So yeah, the guy's actually died. It's just because I've seen the documentary is why I'm interested in this. And it's the whole did he, didn't he type of thing. It ends on a cliffhanger. But I think maybe he done it. Maybe he did it because there was a lot of it was circumstantial, but a lot of it was suspicious. He did live quite close to the woman. He did have scratches on his arms as if she tried to fight back. He did apparently break down crying one day in the pub and say that he did it. And there's even witnesses like in the documentary going, "Yeah, he said he did it," and everyone like that. But now then he's changed his tune, going, "No, no, no, I had nothing to do with it." And everyone, it's weird. Maybe he's an attention seeker that just wants to be at the center of attention. I had absolutely no idea. But the guy's got Asperger's up the arse. Like he's on the spectrum. You can tell just by talking to him and the amount of bullshit that he just says and like the way he acts. But that's the problem is just because someone's weird doesn't mean they should be a suspect. But also, you know, like I don't know. I've fucking no idea. But I don't think we're ever going to find out now what really happened.